How's it? Welcome to my bathroom. Today we need to sort out this basin. The tap drips, the drain leaks, and the click-clack doesn't clack. And these are all pretty simple things you can do at home with your basic toolbox. Let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do here is switch off the water. Now normally there should be two taps underneath your basin that have got the water supply, or you might have to switch it off outside your house. Just make sure you switch it off, otherwise you're going to have a bad day. And once your water's off, you're going to want to just open the taps just to make sure that anything inside there can just drain out. So the first thing we're going to do is start with these taps. Now what's going on here is there's a little seal at the bottom of this tap, and those things wear out over time, opening, closing the taps, closing them too tight. They do wear out, so they need to be replaced. And once you replace them, normally your drip stops. And one of the things that makes the drip worse is when people try and close the tap tighter to try and stop the tap dripping, and that just damages the seal even further. So we're going to remove these tap heads, and then we are going to replace those seals. It's a pretty straightforward job. Most taps work in a very similar way. There's going to be some sort of a screw on this end, probably. In this case, it's just a little cap here that you take off. Little rubber seal in it. Inside there's a screw. You undo that screw, you pull off the handle, then you can take off this cover, and you can remove this whole piece, headpiece inside here. So I'll show you that once we get to it. So this screw basically holds the tap that you turn onto the headpiece that actually controls the water inside. Now, just a quick tip here, close your drain before you start removing screws and things, otherwise you'll drop something down your drain, possibly, and that makes your day worse. So now you should just be able to pull your tap off here. Now mine's a bit tight, so I might just have to give it some encouragement with a hammer, I think. Got it. So that's the tap. That's the handle part of the tap. Now we can just take off this cover. Before I do that, what you always want to do when you're working with your tap heads is you actually just want to make sure the tap is fully open. So that's the tap open. Now we can just take off this little shroud. It'll just screw off. And this is the part that we're interested in over here. So this is the tap head. Mine's got a bit of corrosion on it. You can see some disgusting water that just came out of there. But now all you need to do is take your adjustable spanner and we can loosen this tap. Now remember the rule, righty tighty, lefty loosey. There we go. So you should expect some water to come out, and that's because there's going to be water, although you switched off the water supply, there's still water here in this part of the tap that needs to drain out. There we go. So now, this is what I'm talking about. This is your rubber seal. It's got a little nut on the end here, and this seal gets deformed and damaged, and this one's actually full of gunk here as well. Some pieces of dirt, could be from when they do work on the water lines. Gunk comes through your water lines and it sits in the seat and then it doesn't seal properly. So inside here there's also a little seat. Now if this solution doesn't work, then you might have to get to a point where you reseat this tap, and that is a whole other job that we're not going to get into today. This is going to solve most of your problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take off this little nut and I'm going to replace this rubber washer. And then we got it out. So this washer is actually not in too bad condition. I think the main problem here was that there's definitely dirt that has been sitting in the seal, and that would have caused it to leak. And it's deformed the rubber a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to replace this. So what you can do is you can go to the shop and you can normally buy a packet of these tap seals. You can get a packet with a variety of different sizes in it, or you can buy the correct size from the shop. They're very inexpensive, and if you know exactly what size you need, it helps if you just buy the size that you know you need. In my case, I have some. This is another one of the mixed packets, and this is the size seal that I need. So this is the new seal. You can see it's the same size as the old seal. And you might find with old seals, they've been deformed so much they look bigger than they actually are, or they look a slightly different shape. So find the one that fits in nicely, and we can see that this is going to be it. And we know it's going to fit in nicely because it fits nicely into this little gap here. So we're just going to stick that on. Put on the nut. Now you don't want this to be too tight, just tight enough to hold it in place. You know, this is not something that really moves around a lot. As you turn it, it seats on and off there. It doesn't rotate. It just goes in and out. So it's not like it's rotating and you need to keep it in space, in the right position. Okay, so the nut's on. We don't want to make it too tight, otherwise we're going to deform the washer as well. And now you just put it back in. So you can just screw this back into your tap. Give it a quick tighten with your adjustable wrench. Again, you don't want to tighten this too much because there's also a rubber seal in the top head or washer. And you don't want to deform that. It doesn't need to be super tight because those washers are going to make sure that it stays watertight. So let's tap back in, put on the cover, put the handle back, put the screw back in, and then put your little marker back on the end. And that's it. Tap fixed. Easy as that. Now that's probably going to be true for most of the taps in your house. Shower taps, kitchen taps, they all got the same sort of principle. There's going to be a head that you can remove, normally with a little screw or something at the end here. Sometimes there's a little grub screw in the end here that you just have to undo with an Allen key. You remove the head, you'll get access to the tap head, and then you can change the seal. Now sometimes your tap heads are quite corroded or in bad shape and the seal is not the solution, and you can actually just replace that whole tap head as well. You can buy them at the shop, they're about 80 bucks, and it's a lot cheaper than replacing an entire tap, and it's a lot better than struggling with a tap that is constantly leaking or not working properly. It's a simple solution you can do to make your life easier. So now let's move on to the next problems, and that's this drain. So the one problem with the drain is that it leaks, and the second problem is it's sometimes getting stuck down here and it's not coming back up when you push it. So we're going to deal with both those things today. The first thing we're going to do is remove this drain. It's easy as this. You just unscrew the top, and this is true for most of these click-clack push drains. They've just got a top that unscrews just like that. And what you will see is there's actually just a little rubber seal that goes around this that you can just pull off and replace. Now this one's quite damaged and perished. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a new one on. Go to your local plumbing shop. You can buy these as replacement pieces. They're very cheap, a couple of bucks, and you can they come normally in a pack of 2, and you can just replace that seal. And that will absolutely help you if you find that you're filling up your drain and it's not staying full. So let me replace that quickly. So I'll put a new seal here, and I'm just going to slide it back over this tap. And that will definitely solve my leak problem. Simple as that. You can screw it back on. But now the next thing we have to deal with is this click-clack that doesn't work properly. So what you're going to want to do is remove this from the drain. Now that's easy enough to do. You just got to grip it with a pair of pliers and it unscrews. So let me do that. So now what we want to do is just remove this click-clack part. Now you can just grip this with a pair of pliers from the top, and you can actually just unscrew it. They're not very difficult to remove. And there it is. You can see mine's full of gunk. And these things are made out of brass, but they do get some sort of scale in them from the water and gunk that goes down your drain. So they do seize up a bit. So you can also replace these. You can buy these new, or you can actually just soak it in some vinegar, and that will loosen up all the junk. So soak it in some vinegar, rinse it, and then just put it back in, and it'll be good as new. So that's the option I'm going for today. This is just some white spirit vinegar. And we'll just let that soak for a couple of minutes just to loosen up all the gunk inside there. Alright, it's been about 5 minutes, and this is moving very nicely now. So you can see a bunch of gunk that's actually come out of it into the vinegar here. Might just want to get a little lap, clean it up a bit. And now we're just going to put it right back in the drain. So just be careful not to drop anything down there, otherwise it's going to be very difficult to get it out. You're going to have to take off the trap at the bottom and fish in there, and it's full of gross stuff, and that's just not what you want to do. Great. Don't really need to tighten it that tight. It sits in there very nicely. Now we can just screw the cap back on. Much, much better. And that's it, done. No more dripping tap, no more leaking click-clack, no more stuck drain. If you like this video, give it a like. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. And if you enjoy what I'm doing here, consider subscribing to the channel. Until next time, stay safe.